Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 6 Things That We Learned from Salford City 1, Bradford City 2. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and 80 likes on today's video, that'd massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're on the road to 9,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed. If you haven't already, with that post notification bell on, it's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in as well down in the comment section down below on our 6 talking points that we do go on to discuss in today's video. I am once again joined up by Korban, and it was great for us to pick up another 3 points yesterday. You look at our last 4 games, 3 wins and a draw, 3 games to go, 5 points off the playoffs before we get into our 6 talking points from today's video. I mean, it is still mathematically possible, while it's not as easy as what we would have liked, and it is still an outsider chance. There is still that possibility of us getting in the playoffs. Korban, do you believe we can do it?
Yeah.
Short and sweet, I like it. I don't think so. I think there will be a game. You know, you look at Barrow away on a Tuesday night. That sounds like a horrible place to go. It'll be one of them games where they'll have one shot, we'll have about 30, and they'll end up winning the game 1-0. And I feel like that will kill all hopes. I mean, you look at Doncaster's form as well. They're absolutely flying at the moment. I think they've won 8 in a row. I think they beat Accrington. Was it 4 or 5-0 yesterday as well? But we'll get on to our 6 boxes then from today's video. Starting out with box number 1. It's a green box for Callum Caver. His 4th Bradford City goal, and it was a real striker's instinctive finish. You look at when we signed Callum Caver and his record with his loan spells with Harrogate and Newport, I believe they were, obviously failed to score, or he might have got maybe 1 assist, something like that. Either way, his goal record was really poor with his 2 loan spells, and there are a lot of fans criticising the signing, and statistically, it did look like a poor signing. But since Caver has come in, he's won over the fan base by his performances, and that proves that whatever the fans' initial reaction to a player signing is, their opinion will always change depending on performance. And I feel like for such a young lad to have come into the side and had a real impact on the second half of the season, you look at maybe only 4 goals and you might criticise that, but for Bradford City, scoring 4 goals in just less than half a season is an outstanding return considering some of the strikers we've had over the last couple of seasons. He did miss a couple of other chances. He had 1 cleared off the line in the second half, and on another day could have come away with a match ball, but I feel like it's probably good for him to get that monkey off his back of scoring away from home. Obviously his other 3 goals had come at Valley Parade prior to yesterday's strike, but great for him to get back on the score sheet. I thought his link-up play was very good as well, and onto his actual goal that he scores. It's a great free kick into the box from Richie Smallwood. A great header across from Matty Platt. I don't know whether he's actually going for goal or he's trying to square it for Caver, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or not. He seems to kind of hit him and end up in the back of the net. But either way, they all count. Very similar goal to Romney Critchlow's away at Northampton towards the back end of last season. But a great finish from Caver. Great to see him back on the score sheet once again, and worked really hard. So definitely deserves a green box from me.
Yeah, with his goal, it's something that we've been talking about, and that everyone has for ages, about the lack of goals from set pieces, and it's good to see over the last couple of games I've noticed us work on them a bit more, of a few different routines, look to be going for more deeper balls towards the back post. Matty Platt winning the first balls, and he did really well with that, setting it up for Callum Caver to tap it in, and that's something that he's really good at. He's got a good bit of anticipation in the box to figure out where the ball's going and then to put it into the back of the net, and it's an easy, simple finish for him because he's got a good reading of the game. But like you said, he did miss a lot of chances, but that's because he's busy, he gets in the right areas, but he's got a good attitude to make sure that he keeps getting those right areas, and if he is missing chances, if his shots aren't quite connecting, he goes again. And I mean, something that I talked about a couple of months ago around the January period was the fact that we weren't having a consistent back line. Now we do again, and we're going on a good run. I think it never really gets put to the same thing with attackers, where attackers are always inconsistent and don't always get them out. But if you play Jamie Walker, Bobby Pointer and Callum Caver week in, week out, every game, and there are no injuries, especially with Walker, he's always injured, and it's good to bring him off for fresh legs. I thought, we did well with that as well. But you play them every game, not only are they going to get a bit of chemistry, because their link-up's really good, they have a good understanding of where each other are, but Walker and Point didn't have the greatest of games, but Cavern's come away with a goal, and he was the most lively one out of the lot. Keep playing them, they'll build that relationship, but also 1 or 2 of them are going to come away with a 7 out of 10 every week. And I think that could be definitely the blueprint going into next season. And next season for Callum Caver, it'll be his first full season with the club after pre-season. Technically, I think there's a lot more still there for him to develop on, and I'd like to see him be a bit less wasteful and I'm quite confident that we can develop that into him.
Yeah, just on him, wasting a couple of chances. Say if that would have been another Bradford City striker, someone like a Tyler Smith, would you maybe hold the same sort of leniency towards him?
No.
And why would that be?
Because there's a distinct difference between Tyler Smith and Callum Caver. Tyler Smith misses chance after chance, whereas Callum Caver has proven that he's a goal scorer for Bradford City. He's more consistent for Bradford City. He's a lot younger as well. I think there's about 6 years between them. And he's a much more energetic player as well. And I think he's a player that his work rate can resonate with the fans. And I'm not saying Tyler Smith don't work hard, but he's just a shocking footballer. I think Callum Caver can go somewhere.
Yeah, I think Cavern's physicality certainly helps him out a lot more over Tyler Smith. And it'll be really interesting to see what does happen with Smith come the summer, because I'd like to think we're going to get another striker in on top of Cook, Young, and also Caver. You'd hope that Oliver's going to be going out the door permanently in the summer as well. Matt Derbyshire probably won't get an extension on his contract, or at least as a player. So if we want to get another striker in, I don't think we can really have 5 strikers. So I would expect to see Tyler Smith move out probably on loan, but even permanently as well, I don't think it would be too bad for a bottom half League Two side. So we'll move on then to our second box of today's video. It's a yellow box for Tyreek Wright. Another game at left wing back for him, and another positive. This is a positive yellow box, but when you look at some of the other players and people who have got green boxes, it wouldn't really be justified to give Wright a green box. That's why it's yellow, but it's a positive yellow box, which is not something we really said much about from Tyreek Wright. I certainly think he suits left wing back more than playing in that front three when we were playing a 3-4-3, and I was really impressed again on the whole with Tyreek Wright. Sometimes defensively you can tell that he's a winger playing in wing back, but going forward, some of the crosses he was putting into the box, he was really unlucky not to get an assist. It's his cross that goes into the box for a really scrappy period of play in the second half where we could have had 2 or 3 goals in about 10 seconds. And Tyreek Wright, for me personally, I thought had a really good game. His link-up play down that left side was really good, and it's nice to see him playing with a little bit of confidence. Obviously, he got subbed off towards the last stage of the game. I think it was cramp, so hopefully nothing too serious, and he can be rested up for the weekend. Obviously, tough game coming up now away at Walsall, another fellow playoff chasing side. But Tyreek Wright, like I said, great to see him back playing with a smile on his face. And even though he might not necessarily be getting the goals and assists, when you're playing in wing back, there's not really as much pressure on him to do so. And you look at his, I don't really know what the right word is, but you look at his, can't think of the right word off the top of my head, but Brad Halliday is basically what I'm trying to say. The man on the other side playing in the same position, he is, the epitome, the highest of high standards. And Tyreek Wright, while he's a different type of player, I certainly do think going forward, Tyreek Wright could add more goal contributions to his game. But as of right now, I think it's just good that he's playing well. And whatever happens with the season, Tyreek Wright probably won't be at Bradford City next season. So it's just good for him personally to be building on his performances, getting some confidence back and playing week in, week out. I personally quite like Lewis Richards. I know he has had a couple of iffy games recently, and obviously he's better defensively than going forward compared to Tyreek Wright. But it's nice to see Alexander playing with some attacking players. And I thought Wright, on the whole, had a pretty positive game. Wouldn't say it was an outstanding game. Certainly think it was one of his better games recently, and again in left wing back like what we saw against Gillingham. So that's why I've gone with the yellow box for him.
Do you think it's harsh on Richards? Because he's got a much better chance of starting for his next season than Tyreek Wright. And whilst I said at the beginning, I think we will get playoffs, and it's a bit maybe naive, but I think there's every chance that we can. And I think with what the teams we've got to play and how teams are playing, I think it can also be in our hands. If we win all our games, I think we'll get playoffs. But Lewis Richards was in good form around that February period, beginning of March. In the bad games, I don't think he was terrible. Do you feel like he's unlucky to have been sort of dropped and sort of seen as nowhere near the team at the minute? Because people are putting him, in that Ash Taylor category, which for me, I think that's quite harsh.
Yeah, I do think some people over criticise Richards. Like, he's a very young player, and we've paid money for him. There's clearly a potential for him to become a really good player, and because they're very different types of players, it depends on who your opponent is. I don't think you play a Tyreek Wright away from home against a Wrexham or a Stockport, obviously both them sides in League One next season. But just as an example, I think in them sort of games, you play Lewis Richards somewhere where you need to be a little bit better defensively. But you look at home to Gillingham, a side who don't really score many goals, and away from home against Salford, who for the most part this season have been in relegation battle. I do think it is fair to play Tyreek Wright. I would expect Lewis Richards to come in, especially for that away game against Barrow. I'm not too sure about the game though against Walsall, but yeah, I do think it has been a little bit harsh on Richards, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I do like the balance of having Wright in that left wing back position, because like you say, Allardy better defensively than Wright, so Wright automatically picks up a lot more space on that left hand side as well, because they're not tracking him as much as if he was a winger. He comes inside, he gets more chances to get shots off and crosses off, and I think it just gives us a different attacking threat, like you say, to what Richards would. And it's similar to what a couple of clubs in our division are doing as well. When you look at McLean and Jody Jones, I think he won Player of the Year for League Two, which is an interesting one. But attack-minded wingers playing in left wing back who were getting the space. They were playing left wing back for Plymouth, and that they didn't rate him there, and we didn't understand it. But he's getting the rewards out of it, playing well, smile on his face, and it's good to see. Do you think there's a small chance, and would you take him back next season? Because when he came, I heard a few rumours that there might be some form of clause or something in it that he's back next season.
I think when he signed in January, I'm not going to lie, I was disappointed that it wasn't permanent. Since he come back to the football club and we've seen his performances, I was massively underwhelmed. I thought his work rate was poor, his output was poor as well. But last couple of games, he's shown he can be a decent player. Do we need better though if we want promotion next season? I will probably say so. Like if Tyreek Wright comes back in the summer on a 3-year deal, I wouldn't complain against it, but I just feel like there's probably better value for money that's out there, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree.
Fair enough. Let's move on then to our third box of today's video. It's a red box for Jacob Miles. Yesterday's referee, I don't really like coming on here and talking about referees. It's been a while since we have done that, but he was absolutely awful. I think you said in your video that it was the first ever time he's ref Bradford City, and I hope it's the last, because he was terrible for both sides as well. That is, you look at Salford's point of view, where Matty Lund gets a booking for winning the ball, and the referee's not actually going to book him, but our players go and speak to him, and then suddenly the yellow card comes out of his pocket, and Matty Lund won the ball, and it was a clean tackle. And there were so many decisions in the game where I was like, no, you've got that the wrong way. That's actually a free kick to the other way. And that's, again, for both sides. I thought he had a really, really bad game. The amount of times where tackles, not even really tackles, just 50-50, his players jumping for the ball, and he's giving it as a free kick. Andy Cook, as always, getting wrestled and assaulted by opposition centre-halves and gets absolutely nothing from the referee. There was an incident very late on in the game in our penalty area where Callum Morton, I think it is, spins away from Kelly, who's clearly holding him, does manage to get the shot off, and it's well saved by Sam Walker. It was literally one of the last kicks of the game, and they kind of half appeal for a penalty. It would have been interesting to see the referee's decision if it were 10,000 Wrexham fans behind that goal rather than about 25 Salford fans who, probably don't really care what happens with Salford, because Man United were playing later on that day. So, yeah, I feel like he had a poor game. I'm not saying that was a stonewall penalty, but I've certainly seen them given. And these referees like that are just so frustrating when it's so stop-start. And obviously it was good for us because we were winning quite a lot of free kicks. The less said about a couple of small set pieces, the better. That one where he passed straight out of play was hopefully one they've not maybe been working on the training ground, because that was terrible. And it's frustrating when Small does stuff like that, because I'm someone who quite likes to back him, and then he does stuff like that, and I was like, I don't really have a leg to stand on here. But we get a goal from a Small set play, so I'm not going to complain too much. But yeah, Jacob Miles, for me, too soft with his officiating, not controlling enough with the game, not letting enough flow, but then at the same time stopping it at too many stupid opportunities. And I thought he had a really, really bad game, so he gets a red box from me.
I'd agree with every word. Just the epitome of all the referees we've had this season. I don't think I could name a good one we've had, because they're all at the same level. I mean, you might disagree, as an aspiring referee, because you might turn into one of the Jacob Mileses and the Darren Drysdales of the world. And
I've got a hairline for a Darren Drysdale, that's for sure.
You do. I mean, a lot of refs are bald, so maybe it was sort of all your future in waiting. But anyway, we'll soon find out, because you've got to pass some tests first. But it stopped starting, and they just ruined the game, and I'm just sick of them, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, also at the end of the game, I don't know where he got the added time from. Added about 2 more minutes on. The referee did that over Saturday at home as well, and it's just baffling every week. Andy Cook getting his shirt tugged, and on the whole, referees in the league as a whole, how strict they are on giving fouls away on Smallwood. Now, yeah, I'm not his biggest fan, I'm not his biggest hater, but and I know you love him, but he's he's just always getting free kicks given against him. When he's won the ball, yeah, he's got a bit of man, but we want to see that. We want to see players fight through someone, win the ball first, and for me, that should never be a free kick. And I know it's probably in the law that you should give free kicks for it, but then when I see the opposition do that, or another player on the pitch do it, then I think, well, what's going on there? And I mean, just as a discussion point, do you think that referees should come out after games and explain the decisions?
I think that's always a very sticky road to go down, because when a referee has a good game, what are you really going to ask him about? I think that's the problem. Like, you only really want to hear from a referee when they have a bad game, and I could kind of understand that. But then from the referee's point of view, they're kind of going to feel like, well, what am I gaining out of that if you're just asking me about the bad decisions? And referees only have a split second to make that. Yes, there's obviously got two assistant officials and the fourth official as well helping them, but it's the man in the middle that makes them decisions at the end of the day. And I just don't feel like it would be fair enough on the referees, because yes, I do think sometimes they should have to come out and explain them, but if it was every week when they have good games, what are you really going to ask them about when they're not really made any major decisions? Obviously, if they get a throw in the wrong way or a free kick in the centre circle, but run about the big decisions, a penalty or a corner, these sort of things, things that can really change the game. I feel like, not really too sure where I'm going with the point, but no, I don't think that officials should come out and explain every single week. I can maybe understand it every now and again. Maybe clubs should get the opportunity to have a referee come out publicly 3 times a season, and they can call it in whenever they want, potentially. It's maybe a potential future idea for the AFL.
But the thing is, managers, players, board members all have to come out and face the music at any part in the season, good or bad. And they can big themselves up if they want. They can come out thinking that, that they've got lovely slick back hair and they're the best man in the world and they've made all the right decisions possible and they've not done anything wrong. They can stick up for themselves and, let's go through, the best decisions they've all made, and let's talk about how he saw that decision to get the free kick. No one has to watch that, but I do feel like there's got to be accountability. And for me, the referees don't have enough accountability compared to other people in the sport.
Yeah, I certainly take your point for that. Let's move on then to our fourth box of today's video. It's a green box for Brad Halliday. Absolutely outstanding. And if I came on here and said that every single week, no one would complain about it. He got into the EFL League 2 team of the season, and if anyone complains about that, they are off their head. Halliday's been outstanding from game 1 to game 43, and he probably will be outstanding again for the last 3 games as well. Absolutely excellent again yesterday. Gets on the score sheet once more. He's 4th for the season, and for a right back, it's a hell of a strike. Sometimes when you're in that situation and you've got maybe too much time, you could be a little bit guilty of getting your foot right underneath it and smashing it straight out of the stadium. But Halliday's technique for a fullback is absolutely brilliant. Defensively, you know what you're going to get with Halliday, the best in the entire division, and that is why he has won not player of the season. He good bloody competition as well for a fullback, but he's in the team of the season, and he was just absolutely outstanding again. The quality that he has in that final third is getting better and better as each game goes by. Defensively, absolutely outstanding. There's not really much more I can say about Brad Halliday apart from the fact he should be able to write whatever numbers he wants on his new contract in terms of years, in terms of wage. Give him the entire wage budget and just let Brad Halliday run around on his own next season. And I'm sure no Bradford fan will complain about that, because Halliday could probably do the running for 11 players. He's absolutely outstanding. I love that man so much, and I really hope he stays for the next 4, 5, 6 seasons, because he epitomises everything you want to see in a Bradford City player. And yesterday again, not only working hard, defensively brilliant, going forward, outstanding again, scores the winner, and I don't really have much more to say about Brad Halliday other than just absolutely incredible again.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But I don't know if you made a video on this, but last season, if you were to give Brad Halliday a rating out of 10 for last season, what would you give him?
Probably, I mean, Halliday didn't obviously stand out as much as Cook and Lewis, but it'd probably be a 7 or an 8. This season, you're probably looking at an average rating of probably a 9 or an 8. He's certainly been incredible in most games that he has played this year.
Do you feel, now speculating, but do you feel like that trajectory of it going from a 7 or an 8 to an 8 or a 9 because of the contracts in his head? And so this is why it's got loads of criticism, but I do like the club's approach with it, because especially in the lower levels as well, because the money difference has a massive effect on players, and you always see it at the higher levels, but obviously the media coverage is much bigger, so the scrutiny is much higher. But I feel like if a player's on a 1-year contract and he knows he's happy at that club, then he's going to put in better performances. And obviously more recently he's been on fire, which I'm all for that if that's what happens. And I think that has had an impact with the contract. Last season, obviously, we waited on Cook as well. His form towards the end of the season was as it was towards the whole of the season. Holidays kept going upwards. So I feel like that might have an impact, but, you might not.
I feel like for some players it can, and it's probably takes a small part into consideration, but Halliday doesn't strike me as that type of character. I feel like last season he didn't maybe stand out as much because Cook was scoring every single week. Lewis was making absolute worldies, and as a right back, it's one of the very few positions on the pitch where it is really hard to stand out. If you're just looking at the highlights that the club put on YouTube, you're not going to see a highlight of Brad Halliday tackling the winger or stopping the cross coming into the box, but what you do see is a centre half making a goal line clearance and stuff like that. So I think for some players, maybe, and especially at lower league level, because the money difference is quite significant. Like you look at the Premier League, the difference between 300 grand a week and 400 grand a week in the grand scheme of things is not really much, but the difference between 2 grand a week and 4 grand a week at this level is absolutely massive for people. But yeah, like I say, I think for some people it would be based on the fact that they're out of a contract and they want a better one, but Halliday doesn't strike me as that type of character.
No, and what a great character he is as well. He's always fired up. He's always motivated, and it's hard for a lot of players to be. It shouldn't be, but it is. And he's one of those who's an absolute role model and a leader. Whether you're talking about captains or not, I think everyone should be a captain in your team, and Brad Howard is a great example of that. Always giving that work ethic that you need. And just a little nod to Alexander as well. It's come out in the last few months, I should say, but certain players have come out and said little things that he said to improve the game. Odra said it, he had a chat and it improved him. Brad Halliday, he had a chat with him, didn't he, about improving his attacking threat, and he gets into good areas, but he doesn't do a lot with it sometimes. He's got 2 and 2, and he's continually, looking like a really good attacking wing back, which for a lot of his time at City, I've always thought really good defensively. Going forward needs to improve, and recently he's looked like a really good attacking force down that side.
Yeah, and just on that, it feels like it's been a while really since we've had a manager that's come in and really developed a lot of these players. I think Mike Hughes did an excellent job with Andy Cook last season, but Alexander, for a fair few of these players, has made them look a lot better than what they had done previously. Kieran Kelly, I think, is a man who he's helped develop massively. Clark Adore, I think, post-February has been quite good, has had a few quiet games, since around March sort of pit time, but on the whole, I think he has been pretty decent, and I hope he gets a start soon as well, because I think Poynton has been a little bit quiet last couple of matches as well, and there's a lot of competition for places in there. But yeah, I like that Alexander is actually developing some of these players, and we're getting better performances out of them, and Halliday is one of them people as well. So let's move on to our penultimate box of today's video. It's a yellow box for Andy Cook. I feel like this one's more of an average yellow box rather than the positive yellow box that we saw with Tyreek Wright. Again, very similar to Callum Caver in the fact he had a few chances in the game, was unfortunately unable to convert. He had a big chance in the first half where cross came into the box. His excellent movement from Kavanagh to create a space. Cook on the volley. It's not the easiest of chances, but he drags it wide, and he should at least be hitting the target there. And don't get me wrong, Alex Cairns is a decent goalkeeper, especially at this level, and it would have had to be probably somewhere near the corner for it to go in, but Cook didn't even hit the target with that. He had an opportunity as well in the second half when we had that scramble where I think Poynton had a shot, then Kavanagh had a shot which was cleared off the line. Kavanagh then laid it off to Cook, and he just dragged his shot wide. And we didn't see the Cook that we saw against Gillingham, where he was throwing his arms around complaining. I feel like Cook worked really hard yesterday, and again, we're using him as a target man, and that doesn't really suit him, but I understand it more a little bit on a pitch like Salford's, where it's quite narrow, and you've not really got that space to get the ball down on the deck and play football unless your passes are absolutely spot on. So I didn't mind us going a little bit more direct, but we needed to get a little bit more support around Cook at times, and also be a little bit more accurate with our long balls, because sometimes it was going straight over Cook's head. He had absolutely no chance, and running straight through to their keeper, and they were gaining possession again. While they didn't really create much in the game, their goal is frustrating. I think Kelly should do much better with that. You look at Platt's marking, I think it's McAleny, and then the cross comes into the box, and Hendry's made a brilliant run to get in between Platt and Oyegoke, but then Kelly's kind of just stood where Hendry was, and he doesn't track him in there. And then obviously he's got the freedom of the penalty area to smash it into the back of the net. Sam Walker stands no chance. But yeah, Andy Cook, I feel like on the whole, not a bad game, not a great game. Maybe it might have been a red box if, we'd lost the game 1-0 or drawn 1-0 and he missed a couple of chances. Similar to Callum Caver. They both missed similar amount of chances, but Cavanaugh's come up with the goal in the end. And I know it's from a set play. And, obviously Cook was told to be where Kavanagh was. Cook would have probably scored it as well. So he's swinging and roundabouts and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think Cook was as bad as what he was in the previous match against Gillingham. Again, has just returned from injury, so maybe he's building himself back up for the last couple of games of the season. Walsall, one of his former sides at the weekend as well, a club similar to Mansfield that clearly doesn't have a good connection with their fans. So I expect him to pop up in one of them games with a goal and then, Barrow the week after. So hopefully a couple of goals coming up for Andy Cook. And on the whole, like I said, not a bad game, not a great game. I've gone yellow for Andy Cook.
Do you know how many goals he's on at the minute?
I think it's 17 in all competitions, and obviously he's missed the 3 penalties as well.
Yeah, he'll get to 20 then. He'll get hat-trick against Barrow and get a couple against Walsall, and he might follow up with another hat-trick against Newport to get.
That'd be a great way to end the season. That.
Well, there you go. He's called Sir Andrew Ellis Cook for a reason. He has been knighted by us and don't get that appreciation he deserves. I mean, yeah, he probably won't go on and do that, but at the end of the day, he's still an outstanding legend of the club. I think it's fair to say. And missed his good few 2-3 chances. Should have put a couple. One of them, I think, that one in the first half where it sort of flashed across the penalty box and he sort of got a glance on it and it just went wide. I think he could have done better with that. The other one were a bad first touch, but it was good defending. But it was a focal point into target man, but he played it well, getting manhandled the whole game. Wasn't easy for him. If he doesn't do well in adversity when things like that go against him. But he did. He kept going, kept his head up, and referee didn't give him out. So I thought that was a good test of character from him. And like I say, building up, hopefully he can finish the season strong. Yeah.
Fingers crossed he can, and fingers crossed he does smash that 20-goal mark once again. And we'll move on then to our final box of today's video. It's a green box for Graeme Alexander. I thought, again, he got it spot on. Another win for us as well. And I was thinking about the times where we've gone on bad runs under Graeme Alexander. You look at around January sort of period, and then again around March indeed is what I was looking for there. Just double checking with the fixture list. But you look at them sort of periods and the team we're lining up with, especially defensively, the reason why I think we were losing them games is because of the defence, and it was so chop and change. Sam Stubbs, Ash Taylor, Liam Rideout, even Daniel Ugoke, before he had been good over the last couple of matches. Before that, he was quite poor. Them sort of players were playing, and you didn't see a Matty Platt in there. You didn't really see a Jonathan Tompkinson in there, and I do think that is important. And when they have been playing, and it'll be interesting to see how we go about replacing JT in the summer. Does Timmy Odesina maybe get an opportunity? I was really impressed with Odesina, this pre-season, and he got shipped out on loan and can barely even kick a ball for Woking. So that just goes to show what happens in football. But on to Alexander, I thought he got the tactics spot on, he got the team selection spot on. And even if we'd have come away losing that game, I was really impressed with the first 60, 70 minutes. We created a lot of chances, and that's what it's about, building towards next season. We get some real quality in the summer, like what Stefan Rupp's promised with this investment. I trust David Sharp to be able to spend that. Do I trust Stefan Rupp to actually back his word and give us that money to spend? I guess the proof will be in the pudding. But Alexander has got us a system which is creating chances, and at the moment we're scoring a couple of goals from it as well. Yes, we are missing some of them chances, but if we get a really clinical goal scorer in, we've got some real firepower at the top end of that table. I don't think this team is a million miles away, to be honest with you. With how poor League 2 is, I really don't think we are that far away. And Alexander, I was quite impressed with his subs as well. Maybe they should have come a little bit earlier. They could have been getting Odwa on for Pointon a little bit sooner than what he did. Richards on for Wright, maybe just to see the game out. But at the end of the day, we've got the job done. So I'm kind of really nitpicking at that sort of stuff. And yeah, he got it, everything spot on for me on the whole. Don't think it's really a tactical reason why we just conceded. We score from a set play as well. We have been very critical of the set piece coach recently. Some of the goals we conceded, like at Mansfield at home, Notts County at home as well. On the whole, though, we got the job done. We picked up another 3 points, and yeah, it's a green box for Graeme Alexander.
Yeah, I think you said it in the preview when you were talking about thinking we might struggle. You said it somewhere anyway, thinking we might struggle because we don't do well when we have a bit of time away. And how much do you think that affected us, that Barrow and Notts County game that called off, having that week and a half? If those games didn't get called off, they won bad ones as well. Do you feel like that could have had a massive impact on us then going with those 4 games without a win?
I do think it was, a really, really significant part. And it wasn't like it was a Tuesday, then we played the Saturday, and it was a Tuesday again. It was back-to-back Saturdays, and we've gone around 3 weeks or 2.5, 3 weeks without playing. And that's a long time. You can have an in-house game, you can have training, but nothing quite beats a competitive match day in League Two. So I do think it was quite significant, as well as the injury to Matty Platt, though. I do think that was massively important, and he was a big miss for us as well.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about that back line, it's so strong, and I think we're second in the clean sheets, and that's down to Alexander coming in, and then those 3 centre backs, mainly Platt, Kelly, and then Oyegoki's done well recently. He's an interesting player for me, and I really rate him at the minute. We'll see how he finishes the season. His contract's up at the end of the season with Brentford, so I think a lot will agree with that, but I think that could be something we'll look at, because versatile players who have pace, can play in the back line and quite composed on the ball, it'll be a lot cheaper than Tompkinson, and at the minute he's playing over him. So that could be something we'll look at, but I'm not getting ahead of myself because he has had a pretty poor year on the whole. But I don't care. For me, I'm 100% behind Graeme Alexander. I think there's still a few people who are, and I don't really understand it, because I do think that he's playing the Bradford way. He gets it, not just his interviews, but the way we're playing. When you see how his former teams have played against us, he gets the level. He understands what it takes. He's got his players believing him in. He's developed players like we've already mentioned, improving them mentally as well. I think that connection will start to come with a fan base. Something that I picked up on Saturday that I hadn't heard a lot is Graeme Alexander's Bradford Army. I mean, it's a bit of a tongue twister. It doesn't really go, but we heard it Saturday, and finish the season strong, get that momentum going to next season, and then next season, which for me is a much weaker League Two, where it hopefully won't be as competitive as it is. Then let's try and have a good season, because I do believe he can. But it's just, managing the board giving him time and backing him with time and money in the summer, getting the right characters, getting the right quality, and let's see where it can take us, because I think the future will be strong with Graeme Alexander if we back him.
Yeah, you look at next season, well, especially this season as well, 3 of the big hitters going up in Wrexham, Stockport and Mansfield. Forest Green are a big spender as well, and it looks like they're going down, which is obviously good. No one ever wants to go to Forest Green. Chesterfield coming up from the National League, I think they'll probably be looking to do back-to-back, but I feel like they might end up doing something similar to a Notts County. I don't know who's going to come up through the playoffs in the National League, but I don't really think they're going to trouble the automatic promotion places too much. The team's coming down. Carlisle, I think, could maybe trouble it, but I do think they are going to start really slow, and they might finish strong, but they might give themselves too much to do. But we've seen it over the years. Bolton, Bristol Rovers, who've started slow and then finished really strong. Even Stockport last season as well. And Fleetwood coming down. They've got major off the field issues. I don't think they'll be troubling us too much. And then you've got teams like Burton and Port Vale. It's all a bit of a much of a muchness at the bottom end of League One. But we will leave it there then for today's video. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I know this one is a late upload. Apologies, I've been asleep most of the afternoon, but thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for us. If you could try and hit 80 likes on today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're on the road to 9,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in as well down in the comment section down below on our 6 talking points from today's video, that being Callum Caver, Tyreek Wright, Jacob Miles, the referee, Brad Halliday, Andy Cook, and Graeme Alexander. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Go check out Korban's channel as well. The link to that, as always, is down in the description down below. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you very soon for another one. Peace.